Zelensky's statement refusing to cede territory for peace has clearly angered the United States. In his fury, Trump warned him not to use Ukraine's constitution as an excuse. According to news exposed by Britain's Daily Telegraph, Zelensky's attitude has quickly softened, and Ukraine has sent signals agreeing to cede territory for peace. British media claim that this is an adjustment made within the framework of a ceasefire supported by Europe. Kyiv may agree to a ceasefire on the front line and also acquiesce in Russia's control of Ukrainian territories that Russia has seized during the conflict over the past few years. In other words, Russia can control 5 Ukrainian regions including Crimea, but Ukraine will not cede any more territory. The most direct reason for Zelensky's sudden change in attitude is, of course, the anger from the United States. Trump has clearly expressed his dissatisfaction with Zelensky. One direct sign is that Trump personally announced that Zelensky will not be invited to the upcoming U.S. Russia meeting. Although Zelensky may still participate in subsequent negotiations, he will be absent from this crucial meeting, which is clearly meant to determine whether the Russia-Ukraine conflict can end. The implication behind this is self-evident. There are also other reasons. On the one hand, the situation of the Ukrainian military on the Russia-Ukraine conflict front has become increasingly difficult. Even their own people have continuously revealed that the situation on the front line is tough, with the Russian military's offensive growing stronger. The Ukrainian military cannot hold their positions and has to retreat step by step. Now cities like Krasnohorivka are surrounded. If the Ukrainian military loses its last group of urban defenses, even if Zelensky refuses to withdraw his troops, the Ukrainian military will be driven out of the Donetsk region by the Russian military. In other words, if Kyiv does not stop the losses, it may lose even more. On the other hand, Ukraine's tolerance has also reached its limit. If the United States had continued to provide sufficient support, Ukraine could still have lingered on. But Washington has stated that it will end its investment in Ukraine, which is an extremely dangerous signal. If Zelensky does not compromise, once U.S. support comes to an abrupt halt, Ukraine is likely to collapse. Such consequences would be far more serious than losing territory on the front line. Of course, Zelensky also hopes to reach a compromise with the United States on this issue and persuade European allies to prevent Trump from putting forward more demands favorable to Russia. At this stage, Putin's stance remains tough, and Trump is likely to shift this pressure onto Ukraine. Therefore, Zelensky must first show an attitude so that Ukraine can try its best to ensure that both the United States and Europe stand on its side. From a practical perspective, it is impossible for Ukraine to regain lost territory at present, so Zelensky has no choice but to think long-term and first handle the issues with allies, especially the United States. If he does not follow the script set by the United States, Ukraine will hardly have a chance to catch its breath. But if it can secure support through compromise, Kyiv can still believe that there may be opportunities in the future. Even so, the outcome is already a heavy blow to Ukraine. The Russia-Ukraine conflict began more than 3 years ago. At that time, Zelensky's goals were to achieve victory, retake Donbass, and get Ukraine into NATO. But up to now, Ukraine has not achieved any of these goals. Instead, it has even been asked by the United States to cede territory for peace. Such a result is truly tragic.